Yo, ladies and gents, I am your host, Joshua Booma, and welcome back to episode 5 of Masters of Their Craft. This series was built to dive a little bit deeper into what it takes to become a master of a craft. This series started in gaming, but today's episode we are finally branching out into a new craft, and it's something that everybody loves, music. Specifically with a guitar. I'm not sure about you guys, but learning an instrument or mastering one is definitely one of the skills I want to put under my belt. So today we're going to be hearing from somebody who brings a ton of passion and very vibrant energy and mixes both of the beautifully creative worlds of guitar and K-pop into one. If you guys are interested in both of those things, then I think you'll very much enjoy today's episode. But without further ado, let's introduce our fifth special guest, the K-pop guitarist. Okay, without further ado, ladies and gents, let's introduce our fifth special guest to Masters of Their Craft, the K-pop guitarist, Andrew. How you doing today, brother?
What's up? I'm living the dream, man. I'm living the dream.
We had a little audio technical issues at the start, but nothing's going to stop us from getting this done. We love to
Classic.
see.
Classic.
All right, so why don't we just dive right in? Why don't we begin with you telling everybody a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. So first and foremost, it's really cool to be here. This is my first interview ever.
Yes, sir. Let's go.
Yeah. At least in terms of like what I do and everything. So it's really cool. It's funny. It's like I know the series is called Masters of Their Craft, but
Yes.
like there's some imposter syndrome hitting hard right now. I'm like I don't know if that's me, but no, it's really cool to be here. I appreciate the opportunity. But yeah, I am a musician of 16 years going on now.
I'd say that's a master.
Well, I should have practiced more. I would say I would consider myself like upper intermediate level.
Okay.
But then again, I'm also like super deep in the music guitar world, and I see like what I would consider the masters of their craft. And so
yeah, for sure.
It's just part of the process of being a creative in general, I feel like. But
Definitely.
yeah, I've been playing for about 16 years, primarily guitar. I can play. I had to study piano in college, but I was not good.
Really?
It was just enough. No, it was just enough to pass what we had to do. We had to do these piano proficiencies because I was a music major.
Okay.
And so like part of the program, they were like, you have your main focus, and then for instrumentalists, we had to do an instrument that wasn't our main instrument. So like guitar majors had to do piano majors had to do guitar. But it's like basic stuff. It's like play your major scales and like show us that you can, play them in any key, and like they'll pull you into a room and they'll just like throw a key out, and then you have to play it. It was actually really nerve-wracking for me because I didn't take to it super well, but so yeah, mostly guitar, some piano. I can play bass if you need me to.
Ooh, I love the bass.
I'm gonna piss off all the bassists out there, but most of the skills with guitar are pretty transferable to bass. Again, the bassists are rioting right now because they know like that's not entirely true, but I can fake it till I make it.
I believe it.
But yeah, been playing music for about 16 years now. I'm a huge nerd.
Yeah,
if you can't tell, I've got Star Wars stuff.
It's
this
beautiful.
entire cabinet.
Compared
this
to
entire
this?
cabinet is, yeah.
It's beautiful.
I was gonna say I'm also speaking of that, an anime fan, anime manga fan.
Yes, for sure.
But just like a nerd in general. Star Wars is like my main thing. But like grew up on anime and manga. Like before I got into guitar, like I wanted to be an illustrator. So I was like really into drawing, and I was like, maybe one day I'll become a manga artist. But the guitar derailed everything. So but yeah, just a musician. I'm a nerd. I love coffee. I'm a coffee nerd. Let's see. I'm an amateur audiovisual producer.
Yes.
So like I know enough just to do my YouTube videos, and that's about it. But like I love movies and like the production process of movies and stuff like that. So
Amazing. Okay, so I
I
have some nerd questions for you then. Just some bonus questions on the side. If you had to pick
Let's do it.
favorite anime and favorite movie, just one. I'm gonna make it hard.
Anime is easy. Movie is very difficult.
Yeah, I agree.
Anime, Rurouni Kenshin.
Oh.
I know that there's some controversy.
Definitely will be.
I know that with the creator himself, there was some things happening with him. But it had a big impact on my life. Right out of frame. Actually, I have a bookshelf right here out of frame. And earlier last year, I actually purchased the entire manga set because I had never owned all of them at one time before. So I purchased those. But like it had a really big impact on my life. Some people don't know this. Some people do, but some people don't. So I did martial arts for 9 years.
My gosh. That's so sick.
So I got my black belt. It was a really traditional school. So it wasn't one of those like you can pay to get your belts type. There's definitely a distinction there.
Yeah.
But it was super traditional, and I got my black belt, ended up doing Iaido, which is like, to put it simply, doing swords, and did a few other things. And but it was all because of Rurouni Kenshin. I was like, this is super cool. I want to be a samurai in real life.
Yeah.
And then that's kind of what got that started. But movie, oh geez.
I'll go first. I'm just gonna say mine is Inception, like by a mile, at least for me.
Okay, all right. Personally. I would say favorite movie soundtrack. Inception is always, if not the first, it's one of my top 3 every time.
Okay, I respect it.
But movies, man, it's so funny because like I'm a big Star Wars fan, but like there's so many movies that I feel like are stronger in various aspects than Star Wars is. But I agree. So like, I don't know, I would say of late, I'll make it easier for myself. In the last year, it's been Godzilla -1.
Oh, we love Godzilla.
Yeah. Godzilla -1. That film is a masterpiece. I would say of all time, it's really difficult. It's really difficult to pick though. Inception. I would say Interstellar's one. Interstellar's definitely one. Seven Samurai.
Okay.
That's a deeper cut.
Yeah.
It's also really old, but I don't know. That's always been a difficult question.
Yeah, I know, because it's something that it's like one of those questions that changes over time. I feel like. I feel like, especially for you as a musician, you probably pick like a different movie based on its like soundtrack, but then you also would just pick a different movie based on it being like a good movie. So yeah, I don't know.
Well, because like Parasite, for example, Korean film Parasite.
Yes,
love that. That's probably top 10. But like for me, it's always different things. Like one movie will be my favorite movie because of the cinematography. And then like another movie will be a favorite of mine for like the action sequences.
Oh, for sure.
So like, for example, the Rurouni Kenshin live action adaptations, my personal opinion, the best anime live action adaptations of all time so far.
Yeah.
And those have some of the sickest sword fighting in it. So like in terms of like, if I want to watch a really good fight, it's going to be that. So I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like I would do the same thing. Like if I wanted action sequence, I would definitely go to like a John Wick movie. You know, like
also
like easily.
True.
Yeah,
those are really good movies. I love those.
It's incredible, and the work put into them. So, okay. Speaking of when you said you were, getting into guitar and piano, I want to know when did you first start playing guitar? What is it that got what got you like hooked onto it? And then how long have you been playing now? Which I think you already answered before.
Yeah, dude, Guitar Hero.
Guitar Hero. Oh my god, you too, bro.
Yeah,
respect.
So
bro.
I have this habit over the course of my life where I see something. Normally, it's in TV or video game.
Yes.
And then I just decide like I want to do that. And like, which I think is it's probably a pretty common experience. But for me, there were these like 3 specific things. So one was rocket power, and I wanted to skateboard. And then that took me on like a 4-year journey of like skateboarding. Rurouni Kenshin with martial arts. And then for this one, a friend of mine brought over Guitar Hero 3 one summer and we were playing it, and like
Dario
I
throws the
remember,
goat.
yeah, like dude, it was the best one too. Like
Yep,
and the
by far.
soundtrack is like all of the songs they have are killer.
Yes.
Super massive range of genres in there, and like I remember being like, this is I never knew that you can make so many sounds with one single instrument. And like hearing it in so many different contexts, I was like, dude, this is so freaking cool.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if it was Cliffs of Dover or
oh my god,
like a Guns N' Roses, one of the Guns N' Roses songs or something. But I just remember being like, this is really, really cool. And it piqued my interest enough to like I would say within like a month of playing it for the first time, being like, let me see if I can find a guitar to at least borrow. Cause I borrowed a neighbor's guitar.
Yeah.
And played that for a while. And for those of you, for the guitarists out there, the action or like the string height was like astronomically high. So it was super difficult to play at first. And like, I didn't even know what like getting your guitar set up and like fixed meant. And so like, I was just like crying, playing these strings that felt like they were a mile off the fretboard and my fingers were, in pain. But, like, I feel like, and everyone has one of these moments, but that first realization of like, I can produce something now.
Yes.
Like,
yeah, for
you
sure.
get past the initial, like, I have no idea what I'm doing. And then like, for me, it was like Ode to Joy. And it was like, oh, I have now put these notes into an arrangement that is now music and I can produce that myself. And then that was the moment that I was hooked. I was like,
it's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I can do it. Like it's that moment where you realize you've gotten past that initial, like, this sucks and I have no idea what I'm doing, into now I can actually do something with these skills, and it just drives you to want to do more.
Yeah.
So yeah, 16 years.
That's crazy.
Mostly self-taught.
Really? You never took classes or anything like that?
No. I took lessons. So the first 5 or 6 years, let's see, I started in 8th grade and I didn't start taking lessons until I hit like consistent lessons until I hit college. So like 5-ish, 5 or 6 years, give or take, that was self-taught. And then I had to take lessons in college, which I think honestly was the best thing. One of the best decisions I ever did was like committing to doing lessons and committing to practicing. And then like after school, since graduating until now, I haven't taken any lessons. It's been mostly self-practice, but yeah, mostly self-taught up front, which I would say can be a good thing and a bad thing.
How so?
So like the good thing is like it's a natural rabbit hole to go down, fueled very much by like what you think is cool, right? So there's no one telling you what to practice. There's no one telling you like what you need to focus on. For me, it was just fun. It was just really fun. It was like, here's a song that I like. I got into metal, like rock and metal has always, evidently so, through the content that I make, but has always had a big influence on my playing and like the music that I like.
Yeah.
And so like I got into that really early, and it was like following this specific sound, this specific type of playing, or like learning a technique that I hear in this song that like, I'm like, that sounds really cool. I want to learn how to do that.
Yeah.
So it's fun. It's really fun. And you go at your own pace. However, I missed a lot of like structural foundational things. Yeah. Because I didn't have a teacher being like, hey, yeah, this is cool, but first, why don't we like focus on your picking technique, or like, like fix how your pinky sits on the fretboard or something, so like I got to school and in college and realized like there were things that I had to undo, years of habits,
muscle memory.
Like, yeah. So it's a double-edged sword. It's like, it's really fun, but at the same time, like, you do really miss out on having someone being able to look at your playing and go, "Oh, let's change that. Let's pause here. Let's work on this." Because in the long run, you're going to need this skill to be as as good as it is. So yeah, mostly self-taught. Yeah. Didn't care much about music theory, which was also shot myself in the foot with that one. Because no matter what people say, everyone who's listening, you need music theory. You do, at least to a basic level.
Yeah.
So that was another, like, I didn't know how to read music until I hit school. I took an AP music theory course my senior year of high school, and like crammed as much music theory as I could, because like I knew I was going for a music degree, so I was like, I have to know as much as I possibly can. But like, all I had read, and some people might understand this, some people might not, but like guitar tabs are like the easiest way to learn guitar up front. But there's barely any theory related to them. So there's this kind of running joke in the musician world where like guitarists, all they do is read tabs and none of them can actually read music, which by and large is not necessarily true, but it's funny enough because it happens enough to be a joke. So like I'd only read tabs, and then I was like, oh shoot, I've got to actually learn how to read traditional music.
Yeah.
And music theory was rough in college. Like, I don't know if I ever came out of a semester with an A.
Really?
Yeah.
You were
it
struggling?
was like, I came out with B's, like solid B's. One semester I had a C, but like I by far was the person in the class that like everyone seemed to know more and understand more than me.
Yeah.
And part of that was because like they teach music theory from the perspective of a piano.
Oh.
Which was a very different experience for me as someone who had only played guitar, who barely had like any like structural foundational knowledge of the way even guitar theory works. And now it's just like weird, like it's like I know I can see what you're doing. Like I kind of get what you're doing, but in no way, shape, or form is it easy for me to take that and put it to
translate it. Yeah.
Translate it to 6 strings and a fretboard versus, like 88 keys on a
keyboard,
for
sure.
So, yeah, it was a wild ride, to say the least.
I mean, I can relate to that just a little bit because part of why I've wanted to do these episodes is I'm also at a point where I'm like, I want to learn other skills, right? And learning an instrument is definitely, one of the things that I want to do, and I find it extremely impressive. I had a friend who went to music school. Like, he was kind of all over the place throughout high school, throughout college. He went into everything, every sport, and he didn't really know what he wanted to do. But then after he got off college, he's like, you know what? I'm going to go to music school. And then all of a sudden I don't see him for about a year, maybe 2 years. And I go to his house. He's got basically like a whole home studio set. And he just creates like beats, like music, like so quickly. He just has like a thought in his head, an idea in his head, and he can put it like into a song. And I'm just like, that's incredible to me. And I find that extremely impressive. So I would love to try to do something like that. And I kind of started to try to get into singing.
Okay.
I don't know if you know this, but I am a Filipino man, and so singing is like a very big thing in Filipino culture. So
yeah,
a lot of people make the joke that Filipinos all have the karaoke talent, but I was like, I've never attempted to sing or anything like that. So I would love to try to learn that. And so I got Ableton 11, and I started like messing around with a bunch of things, started trying to sing my favorite songs. But there's only so much you can learn from like, I relate to what you said about the self-taught stuff, because you can find videos, you can find whatever, get all this advice from other people and try to implement it. But if you don't have the structural things like how to breathe right, how to shape it shoots you in the foot in the long run. So if I definitely want to pursue something like that, I will 100% pursue lessons for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, and I would also, and this is because of something that I've been dealing with recently, but I also want to stress the importance of lessons, because this is true of anything that you're using your body for, but you can injure yourself if you're not careful. And so like, for example, recently I've been dealing with bouts of tendonitis in my left hand. Because so I've had this bad habit where like I won't get as many opportunities to play guitar during the week. And then like Saturday and Sunday hit, and I'm like, okay, let's work on this video, let's work on this song or whatever. And then I'll end up putting in like 6 to 8 hours a day of just like playing. And so it's like the equivalent of, like not working out for 3 weeks and then all of a sudden trying to max out or like, break your record mile time or something. And your body's like, dude, what the heck is
like, what are you doing?
Like, And so like, I feel like having the disciplines in place and then also having correct technique really prevents you in the long run from actually like messing up your vocal cords, having hand issues, it's the same thing for athletes too. So
for sure.
Everyone listening, practice consistently, even if it's just 5 or 10 minutes a day, and also get lessons.
Yeah, definitely. 100%. Okay, so question number 3 is, I want to know how you got into K-pop and how did that translate to the content that you create now?
Yeah, that's a massive question. Okay, so the starting point is very simple. And I feel like this is the same experience that a lot of other people have had, but it's BTS.
Really?
So I discovered BTS in 2017. And they were kind of the gateway drug into it was a relatively slow burn for like a year.
Yeah.
But then like with many things, you get hooked and then you realize that there's a much larger world of that specific thing. And all of a sudden you start like, oh, this is really cool. And then because you get into this artist, there's like 4 other adjacent artists from like the same company or something. You're like, whoa, this is really cool. And then one thing leads to another, and like now you're a multi-stan. Like, you like way too many groups. But like how that translated. So I would make the distinction that like one of the reasons why I got into K-pop was the sheer difference in like talent by and large and like excellence that K-pop idols bring to the table versus Western music, which
sure.
Unpopular opinion, I'm not hugely into Western pop music.
That's fine.
Because like I'm trying to think about what to say without starting fan wars, but there are certain artists in Western music that very much they present a good game in the studio, like their music comes out sounding good, but then you watch them live and it's like, if you didn't have all the backup dancers, this would be a really boring concert. Or like maybe the vocals aren't that great, and that's not everyone.
No,
but,
of course not.
Like that's what drew me to K-pop, because like I was like, when I saw BTS, it's like, these guys are really good at performing and they're like dancing and singing simultaneously in a way that like we really hadn't experienced
100%
in the US, until they kind of broke in. Like we had boy groups, but the choreo wasn't nearly as extensive.
No, definitely
not. So yeah, that was what hooked me. And I was like, wait, so this is like they perform the same way live than they do in their music videos. And I was blown away by that. And so that was what got me started down that rabbit hole. But like how it translates into the content that I produce, really. So there were a few years of just like really appreciating the music by itself. And like really just enjoying it as a product. And then there was a certain point where I was like, it would be really fun to play along with these songs as a musician. And then I realized very quickly that there weren't very many people, at least on YouTube, doing like merging the guitars and instruments specifically. Like there's tons of vocal covers, dance covers, like even piano. I feel like piano is even more popular, where there's like people that have their own piano renditions of songs and stuff as like instrumentals. But like with the guitar at the time, I think it was like 2020 ish. I was like, there's not a ton of people doing this. And so like, that's when the two kind of collided for me. And like, how would I put guitar into this song? Like what would that look like? And then I posted that first video. And then the reaction from people kind of was like, oh, this is something people enjoy. Like this is something people have been, looking for in some respects. But yeah, like that was when it started on that path. And then eventually it was like, I was doing other things at the time, other types of content at the time, where it was like more general guitar stuff. And then I realized that like there was so much more appreciation and like genuine enthusiasm with the K-pop stuff. And so I was like, I love K-pop enough and what I'm doing enough right now. I'm just going to go all in on that. And that was when it kind of changed to like that K-pop guitarist. And like, all of a sudden that's like the content that I produce now.
It's very cool.
But yeah, I mean, it was just at the core of it all is a genuine respect and fascination with the quality that these artists put into their music and their talent. And like, just the fact that, especially like we have a common love for Dreamcatcher, like seeing them live and realizing that in some ways they even sound better live than they do on the records.
Oh, it's incredible.
Like the fact that they can back up their talent and like that's kind of what K-pop is as a whole, is just super cool to me. So
yeah, definitely. So I want to share a little bit of how I got into it, because being an Asian man, I kind of shied away from the genre of K-pop, and I'm not sure if that was like an intentional thing or not. I feel like every Asian culture kind of had something similar to K-pop, especially when I was growing up. But I would look at these things, just like you said. I would watch some of these like live performances, and I'm like, well, that doesn't sound as good as like a studio version would, or it's just like not as good of a performance. So I kind of was closed-minded on my music genres and in my playlists and stuff like that for a long time. And it took me until like recently, and I want to say around like 2022, I was going through a little rough patch in my life just due to some chronic health issues. And for some reason, it completely had changed what I was looking for in music. I was very much into just like rap, R&B, like lo-fi jazz stuff like that. So it was very closed-minded in that aspect. I didn't really branch out into anything other than that. I didn't like country. I didn't like alternative, tons of stuff like that. And so I was just scrolling the YouTube recommended one day, just completely bored after stream. And I get recommended a video, and usually recommended is like recommended based off what you watch. So I was confused of why this video was getting recommended to me, but it looked very cool. It was a front stage, like live performance. And I just clicked on it because I was bored, and it ended up being a front stage like fan cam of Reason, because Dreamcatcher was recently in the US. And I remember sitting there just like, at first I was like, okay, like this is kind of like dope. And then as the song evolved, I was like, it just completely gave me chills, because I had heard nothing like that ever. It was like the music just, not only by like the third verse sounds completely different, but it just evolves into, like, blossoms into this thing. And then on top of that, the killer live vocals, the crowd chanting along with the song, it was just like a completely different experience. And then that's what hooked me truly. And I want to say probably literally like a year later, I went to go see them live in concert, and like it's done and dusted. So it definitely opened me up to not only, you know, the genre of K-pop, but it opened me up to like way more other, because now I do have like a lot of alternative. I do have a lot of indie, like just stuff that I never would have had in my playlist before. So it is truly
really cool, man.
And we wouldn't be doing this right now if it weren't for that. So,
it's cool. I appreciate you sharing that. I think that's been one of the coolest things, is like being a part of the K-pop community. Just hearing stories of like how people have gotten into the genre, and like the impact that the music has had on them. Because like that's the other thing. Like there have been people that have very much their lives have been saved by certain groups and certain songs.
Oh, for sure.
And I think that's I mean, that happens in other genres too, but like I think there is something really special about the K-pop community that kind of sets it apart from something like, I don't know if I want to say this, but Swifties, or like, you know, other artists. I feel like there's a lot more of like a general, just like stronger knitted community vibe in K-pop.
I 100% agree.
You know, so I think it's really cool, and I appreciate you sharing it.
Yeah, I mean, like truly, it did just restore color to like my life, and then I very much was in the same spot as you, and I was like, I looked at it and I was like, no one's ever used this type of music for a gaming montage. So I was like, there you go. I'm just gonna throw that out. Like, it was really, really cool to do that. Okay, so with that all being said, so we are currently in a very, very content-rich world, right? I just want to know, as a streamer myself, a high-level competitive gamer, whatever, is there a reason that you don't stream, or is YouTube just the way for you?
So I've done live streams in the past, and I think they're so fun.
Yeah,
because it's such a good way of like just really connecting with the people that appreciate your content and follow you. Mostly it's just like a time thing.
Yeah, that's fair.
Which is so funny, because like it takes so much more time to make a cover than it does to just like set up a stream and like do it live, and like once it's there, like people can rewatch it and stuff. But like I think for me, I get kind of tunnel vision on doing covers and like really trying to do the songs that people want me to do.
Yeah.
And I forget. Sometimes I legit forget that streaming is like even an option. Like I have Streamlabs on my computer. Like I've done live streams on YouTube before, and I totally forget that it's an option. And then by the time that I do, I'm either tired or life's super busy or something. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'll schedule something. Cause that's the other thing. Like I don't want to surprise people because then no one's going to be able to show up. So like, I try to at least like give like a week's worth of notice. And then I'll be like, okay, I'm going to do it this weekend. But then like randomly I'll find out one of the artists that I follow is having a comeback. And then it's like, well,
I gotta get prepared.
Now I'm like, well, people are going to want a reaction video. And like, I want to do a reaction video, or like, I'm going to want to cover this title track or something. And it just keeps getting pushed off. I will say that I really want to stream more.
Yeah, for sure.
But I don't know. There's no specific reason. I 150% see the value of streaming. And honestly, like, instead of just working on a cover for 2 weeks and not putting out anything in that time, maybe it would be wise to like do a stream here and there in the middle just to like interact with people. But
I mean, the thing that I struggle with the most is finding that balance, because I do know what you mean. It is like a time thing. It very much so. I'm also trying to be a content creator. I'm also trying to play the game that I play professionally and still do other things outside in my offline life. But I think one of the coolest things about what streaming has to offer nowadays is I do see a ton of people just streaming themselves making content. Like I will literally see people in my category just editing their videos, like live on stream, and you just hang out with a bunch of people. I think that's, if you do that with that mindset. I've seen a ton of people just streaming themselves creating music, right? So they'll have the chat, like give them ideas of, you can do this, try this, and then they'll just put together something live on stream. And I think seeing that live and being able to just hang out and react to that person is much more of an authentic experience than, just talking to them in a comment section, right? So,
yeah.
I need to find that balance as well, because I would love to do something like that in the future for sure.
That's a really good. So it's funny because like I'd never once thought about like streaming.
You could just be like streaming yourself making a cover. Like imagine
that's
that.
The thing.
That could
like
be
I haven't.
Awesome.
I had never thought about that. Like I've thought about doing behind the scenes videos, or like picking a song and like cataloging like vlog style, like the process from start to finish. And then I'm always like, that's going to take a lot of time and it's going to be a lot of editing. And I'm like, I'm going to do it someday though. I want to do it. I want to pull back the curtain and give people that look. But like it's so funny that you say that, because like I've never once been like, I could just stream it.
I feel like it's because streaming is like so raw, right? Because like when you go into like making a video, you could be very, very picky and perfectionist about what you want, right? Exactly how you want something to look, how you want it to sound. So it's like you're presenting like this product of your creativity, but then streaming is just like you hit the live button and you're hanging out with people. So it's very much like void of all of what goes into your content creation, which I think is very cool. At the same time, it is very stressful, I think, because it kind of puts like even though it shouldn't be, it kind of puts something on like your unconscious of like, oh, like now that I'm in front of an audience, I have to be entertaining or whatever. But that's not the case. You can just, a lot of the big streamers nowadays, people just watch because of their personality, right? So it doesn't matter what that person is doing. They could be just walking around in the streets doing whatever, and people will watch that. So
I'm not gonna lie. I'm definitely gonna consider that more. And if I start streaming more, it's hats off to you.
No, for sure, bro. I'll hook you with some braids, bro.
But yeah, maybe I should do that.
Yeah, I think it's worth a shot.
Streamy recording for like 2 hours at a time.
I watch, bro. I would watch. Because not only that, like if you're somebody, which this series is also designed for this, right? If you were somebody who was wanting to learn how to play guitar or do what Andrew does, right?
Yeah.
You could just go in there and ask him questions, like in live time, right? That's something that it would be awesome. You could not only get his insight, but you could also get, from his experience, things not to do, which I think is invaluable experience, right?
I have a lot of those. Yeah.
And as somebody who I also do coaching for the game that I'm in, it's a massive, massive thing, because you have to also not only learn how to train, how to practice, but like learning how to learn is also very much a thing, right?
Yep.
Getting these things that are muscle memory could also be like a bad habit for you in the long run. So it very can tie into music as well.
Dude, I'll take a moment to say, I have never played Rocket League.
Really?
Right? I've never played it, but I will tell you this. every time, like that montage that you sent me with Scream, I was like blown away.
Yeah.
Like I don't game super heavily, but like I've gamed enough to understand the skill, like that being good at something like that goes into. And Rocket League has always been one of those games where I'm like, I have no idea how these people do this. Like it just, I'm sure I could learn, but like at face value, watching that montage, I was like, this is incredible. This is freaking insane. So
thank you so much.
I mean, keep it up. Keep doing what you're doing.
It's very much like the same as you. I don't have 16 years. I have 10 years. I've been playing it since 2015. And it's funny that you say that because I wasn't even gonna put that amount of time into Rocket League. I'm currently at 11,000 hours. It's a lot of hours.
Whoa.
Yeah, and people say, 10K hours is like a master of a craft, right? So, I didn't even think about it like that until I was trying to pursue it professionally because I was still in college. I was working full time, and I was trying to pursue professional soccer instead. So I was an athlete beforehand, and then my whole health situation went down, and I couldn't do that anymore. So I was very much stuck in a spot where, during this pandemic, I had like what I thought was my dream and my passion like stripped away from me, and I needed to find something else.
Yeah.
And what better than car soccer to do that? And I ended up becoming really good at it. So I figured I might as well try to make that into a career and then try to, propel myself forward into other things. Because that's like the one thing I could have done at that point in time, right? So
yeah, I mean, good for you though. I mean,
that's
really cool to hear. Because there are people that when their thing potentially gets ripped away, like they just crash.
Yeah, it breaks you as a person. It really does.
Yeah, and so like just that's really cool to hear that you did that and you found something else to pour yourself into.
Yeah.
It's a really cool example to see in the world.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Since I feel like I wouldn't be doing the K-pop community justice without asking you, who do you stan and why?
Oh boy.
In the way to not upset people in the best way.
Here's the thing. I feel like the people that have followed me long enough, they kind of know where I stand on things. But for everyone new, I stan a lot of people. I am definitely like a classic multi-stan in the sense that like once I got into K-pop, there were so many groups that I found that like I liked different things.
Yeah.
And I just latched onto them. Because I'm also a person that I feel like it's going to be funny to say this out loud, but like I get bored with music really easy.
Really?
So like, yeah. So I guarantee you, I've not been officially diagnosed, but I am 99.9% sure I've got ADHD.
Me too.
And so like with that comes this like, I find something, I obsess over it, I consume it really heavily for like 2 or 3 weeks. And then I'm like, okay, what's
next?
I need some, what's next? So like when an artist has a comeback, I will like head over heels, just dive into that record or like the mini album or a full album or whatever.
Yeah.
And then like, I don't know, like a month later, I'm like, okay, I have played this into oblivion. And then I'll look for someone else. So because of that, there are a lot of people on rotation. Okay, but here's how I break down. I have like a top 5.
Yeah.
3 of which are my alt groups. And I know a lot of people just have one alt, but it's impossible for me because in my brain there are 3 different categories. You have like your boy groups, you have your girl groups, and then there's like a category of like bands. And so ATEEZ is obviously there. If I had to pick one group as like my top alt group, it would be them. But they're my alt boy group. Dreamcatcher is my alt girl group, and then the band One We is my alt band. But like the main reason for that is Kanghyun, their guitarist, is insane. Like he's such a good musician that like every time I hear him play, it's like equal parts awe and just intense intimidation of like,
wow,
I don't know if I'll ever see myself do the same things that he can as easily. So those are the 3. And then of course, Inmix is one of my favorite girl groups now. Okay, sorry. Top 5. ATEEZ, Dreamcatcher, and One We are kind of the top 3. And then Stray Kids is in my top 5. And XG right now, which technically not K-pop. I get that. They're they're kind of I think they call themselves X-pop. They're their own thing, but they're in my top 5. But then like In Mix, Winner, which is kind of a deeper cut. They're a bit older, but Winner is one of my favorites. 17, I really like their music. Older Twice. Twice was older Twice stuff I really enjoy. Okay. Look, because I know I'm forgetting people.
Yeah.
I really enjoy Monsta X. Again, they haven't put out new music in a while, but I like their stuff. The Rose, another band.
Oh, I have a song by The Rose. I can't remember the name, but they're so good.
Yeah, The Rose is I love The Rose. They're definitely one of my top bands. And then like Usung from that band, his solo stuff is really good. I don't know. Like, and it's funny too. Boy Next Door is another one. But I feel like with me, there are songs, like I'll stay in a lot of groups, and then there will be like specific songs from certain groups. Like maybe I don't like their whole discography, but like there's certain songs from specific groups that I like genuinely love and like will put on a playlist too. So it's a pretty wide net for me, I would say.
That's awesome. I still am like, I guess in my baby stage of being like a K-pop fan. So I didn't really go out like exploring outside of Dreamcatcher because I thought like having the rock, bass to this was like insane. I was like, I've never heard anything like that. So I definitely got heavy into K-rock, but also other rock bands and stuff like that. But I am a ballad lover at heart. I absolutely love my ballads. So like, there's a ton of them that I've just thrown in my playlist, and I might not even like know the artist at some point, but I would love to like go down and have a list like that, because I have friends who have been into K-pop for a long time, and they try to, one of my friends is a Twice stan, and they try to introduce me to all this music, and I try to go in with like the best open mind, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, I want that energy though, that energy like that rock gives me, so I don't know, I definitely need to listen to way more. If you have any like recommendations, I'm gonna definitely listen to every artist you named on your list. So artist, band.
I would energy wise. Okay, so you getting into Dreamcatcher first is a double-edged sword.
Yeah,
because on one hand, super exciting, super great music. On the other hand, they're really unique.
Yeah.
In the sense of the music that they produce, by and large, like their whole rock thing is not nearly as common in K-pop as it should be.
I've heard Rolling Quartz. I've heard a few of those songs as well.
See, I knew I was forgetting someone. Rolling Quartz is great. Rolling Quartz is like, I love their music.
Yeah.
Like I've got a reaction video and a cover for one of their songs on my channel, and I've been meaning to go back and do more. And then of course, like everyone has comebacks during the summer at the same time. I just get lost. But like Rolling Quartz is great. But I would say ATEEZ has the most similar energy to Dreamcatcher in terms of their music.
Okay.
They do some rock stuff, but it's got like, to me, ATEEZ and Dreamcatcher, they use a lot of the same producers too, which is pretty evident once you go through their music.
Yeah, makes sense.
But like, I would say, what is it? The Movement. See, I should know this. The Movement. The Movement series.
I'm gonna look too.
The Movement series. Or sorry, the World Series. I'm an idiot. ATEEZ out there are gonna be like, you are such an idiot. The World Movement, I'm pretty sure. Come on. Yeah, the World Movement. That's what I meant. Not the Movement series.
Yeah.
The World Movement. The World Series, the Movement album, I would say is a great place to start. Because it's got Gorilla on it, which is like one of my all-time favorite songs by them. And they did a like an alternative version of that song later in the year called the Flag version, which is like, it's got guitar in it. It's like,
I will check it out.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's actually funny because I in no way do I think this actually happened, but so Gorilla came out. I did a guitar cover of it. People loved it. And then they released the Flag version. Ooh. And I started getting comments that were like, have you listened to the Flag version yet? Because these two are really similar. And I actually listened to that version and I was like, there's some parts in here that are like pretty similar to what I did
to what you
like
did
4 months later. But it's funny because like I know that they were working on this probably even before Gorilla came out. And so it's just funny how like whatever guitarist they had in the studio had such a similar approach to adding parts to it. But yeah, ATEEZ definitely would be a good kind of bridge point. And then my bias in ATEEZ, Jongho, does a lot of ballads.
Really?
Yeah. So his song Everything that they
I'm gonna write it down.
recently released, dude, it is beautiful. But yeah, that's off of
it's on the list.
Yeah. I'm so sorry, ATEEZ. I'm so good at song names and am not good at album names. And so like I can picture the album in my head. Like I know what color it is, I know what shape it is and everything.
But you don't know the name.
Yeah, but so like like ATEEZ does this thing where they're like, it'll be a series. So it'll be like the World Episode 1 Movement, the World Episode 2 Outlaw. And it's like similar names with slight differences.
Yeah.
So that's why I get confused.
That's exactly how I am. I literally had this conversation the other day about a Dreamcatcher album because somebody was like, what is Because from? Like, which album is that from? And dude, I'm like, I can tell you. Yeah, I was like, I can tell you exactly what the album looks like. It's like that blue with like the like the water. And I'm like, I just don't know the name of the album.
Dude,
I feel like such a fake fan. I was like, oh my God.
I'll be talking to people in comments and they'll be like, yeah, my favorite Dreamcatcher era was like this one. And I'm like,
solid.
Yep. And then until they list their song, I'm like, oh yes, this album. I do, like I do like this song and this song, but I'm not great at remembering album names.
Oh, I'm so similar, man.
Yeah.
Okay. So I would like to ask you, what would you say, right? Because you might have not had a chance to talk about this on your own channel. I don't know if you've done like a Q&A or anything like that, but what would you say is the most challenging part about learning guitar? And also, what is the most challenging part about what you do? Like how much work actually goes into your covers and how long those take to make?
Okay,
because I'm curious myself.
Yeah, I've been asked this. I've been asked about guitar before in a Q&A.
Yeah.
I think with guitar, and this kind of equates to anything. I think the most difficult thing is hitting plateaus.
Yeah.
Because with the guitar, more so than some other creative things that you do, there's a mental aspect of it. And then there's like this very obvious physical aspect of it. And a lot of times you can plateau with one or the other. So maybe, for example, you hear a solo, maybe your theory knowledge is like really, really, really good. And you can hear it and you're like, I know exactly what he's playing. Like he's like playing this mode and this over this chord and whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But then maybe your hands aren't quite up to speed yet. So there's this like mental understanding, but there's a kind of a physical block where it takes just so much time to gain speed and gain technique and stuff, or vice versa. Like maybe this was my case. Maybe you can play faster. Maybe you can play more advanced stuff, but like outside of like playing other people's music, writing it is difficult because like you don't have as much of the theory stuff. And so there are many points in a guitarist journey where there are going to be plateaus and there's going to be these roadblocks. And I think that's the most difficult thing. It has been, at least for me, has been like hitting those points where I realize I can't do something, which is like really simple and really universal. But for me, particularly, like with the guitar, I had this kind of natural ability early on. And so my like learning the instrument initially was more of a faster process. And it gets you hyped and like gives you this sense of like, oh, I can do this, I can do everything. And then that first time where you really can't, you're like,
it's frustrating.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the most frustrating thing with music and with learning. I mean, it's learning a new skill, but with the guitar in particular, because you're having to work on the speed and the accuracy of your left hand, the speed and the accuracy of your right hand, and matching those. And then there's this third element of your knowledge and the visualization of what you're doing. And so like that's definitely it for me. And hitting those plateaus where you feel stagnant. And like obviously my advice there is like get disciplined and keep going. And the discipline is the key. Like practicing, how you practice is really important. What you practice is really important. Like I think some musicians fall into the trap of like, yeah, I'm just going to sit down 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day and just play songs that I know. And while that's really helpful, it's really beneficial. It keeps your skill up. It keeps your hands nimble. After a while, you have to get really targeted in what you practice and what you choose to study.
Definitely.
If you want to reach those goals over time. And I think that's another hard thing is that it takes time. I think it can be really easy to get frustrated when you practice the same thing for a week
and you're still hitting the wall.
Yeah. And you get like 2% faster. And so that's the other thing. It's like, it's not quick. It's a slow process. It's gradual. And I would strongly recommend like set small goals. Like, and that was something that I came in contact with too. It was like, I wanted to learn this technique, which was really like a lofty goal.
Yeah.
Or I wanted to learn this song, which really is probably like a year or two process for me at the time. So, and I would get frustrated, like, why am I not making progress? I was, but it was small. It was small things.
Yeah.
And so I would say like set smaller goals for yourself and like really celebrate those as well. So anyways, just I'm rambling, but like to kind of summarize all of that, it's like you're going to hit plateaus. They're going to probably come more frequently than you think. And your progress is not always very fast. You're going to have breakthrough points, but the reality of it is like, it's a lot of you doing the same thing to a metronome.
Oh yeah.
For 2 weeks until you can hit it. And fun fact. So when we put out a song called Gravity, last year, like end of summer, last summer. Right. And I did a reaction video and you can, there are receipts for this. I mean, literally caught in 4K saying this. I was like, I'm going to do a cover for it. And I worked on that cover for like 3 weeks. In Logic, everything is tracked, ready to go, except for one lick in the solo.
Really?
That held me back because I couldn't play it fast enough. Because like Kanghyun, like he'll rip out something out of nowhere that's super easy for him.
Yeah.
But his solos have been the things where I'm like, I have to sit down and like put in
intentional
like time.
It.
Yeah. And so I've yet to put that cover out because like I was practicing consistently. I got it like right up close to where it needed to be.
Yeah.
But it was one of those things where I was like, I want to be able to play this in one take, camera up close.
Yes.
No hiding behind editing. Like I want to be able to do this. And like, I never recorded it because I was practicing consistently and then things got busy and I stopped.
Yeah.
And so like, it happens to the best of us.
I feel like it's so relatable too, because I constantly tell people that I coach. Not these things like don't come overnight. I feel like people kind of look at the end products of things, right? Like people will come to my stream and they look at the gameplay and they're like, how do I do this? Sure, I could like be a coach, give you advice, give you tips, give you a training regimen, but like, is that going to give you the 11,000 hours that I put into like doing these things over and over? It's pattern recognition. It's the brain and muscle memory of like doing all this stuff. It's gotten to the point where I brought up the psychology of like the 4 stages of learning in some of my videos. And I'm like, I have to tell people you have to get this to the 4th stage of unconscious incompetence where it's like you no longer have to think about it. It's just like you're in the moment and everything flows naturally. So when you're talking about the one part in the solo, I relate to that because for some of the songs that I was attempting to sing, right, you want it to sound like a certain way or maybe like you're looking at what the artist has done and you're like, well, surely I should just make it like sound like that or be able to do it like that. But that artist has put in like way more time. And it's just, you're like so frustrated because you're like this close, but there's something missing still. I completely relate.
Yeah. And it's interesting that you say that because emulating someone else is so much more difficult after a certain point in any profession.
Yes.
To emulating them to excellence is more difficult than you doing your own thing.
Doing yourself, yeah.
And that's the other, and that's the thing. Like,
it's
so
crazy.
like, I've had people in my life be like, well, I'll listen to a One We song and I'm like, I can't do that. And they'll be like, dude, yes, you can. Like, we see you play. And I'm like, no, like, you really don't understand
how hard it is.
Like, this isn't like, I can do things in my own solos because they're, you know, patterns and guitar licks and approaches that I'm really comfortable with. And I've learned those. But when you're taking into account like how another person approaches the instrument, all of a sudden you're having to approach notes a different way. Yep. You're having to use different skills that maybe you haven't brushed up on. And so it's like, after a certain point, I totally get what you're saying. It's like, yeah, you could sing it, but making it sound like
a certain way is completely different.
You know, and that's the thing. Like when I was in school, like my guitar teachers would hand me solos and stuff. And it's always that last 5% of like, you know, the notes, you can play the notes, but they don't have the same approach or the same flair or the same, you know, like attitude as the original artist. And that to me is it's just mind-numbingly frustrating.
It is. Yeah. But at the same time, I feel like that's what gets me hooked on learning. Anytime I dive into like especially now with music production, I'm sitting there, I'm like, I had no idea like the depths of, you know, what goes into making a beat, what goes into playing an instrument. And you try to pick these things up, right? I go to my friend who has the studio. He's trying to teach me to play one guitar riff, and I can't even like figure out how to move my fingers right. I'm like, this is insane. It's but that's what like gets me hooked on like learning anything, any type of skill. Is like that level, even though it's tons and tons of work, is something that I think anyone could achieve. But at the same time, there's obviously gonna be people who are way more naturally talented at it, but that doesn't mean you can't like work just as hard and get to that point, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I think it's insane.
But with that being said, in terms of like how much work goes into
your
my
videos.
So, so I would say on average, you're looking at about 10 to 12 hours of work for a full cover.
Wow.
And about the same amount for a reaction video for a different reason.
Yeah.
The shorter covers that I do that are like the vertical format, it's only a minute of a song. Maybe 4 hours. Okay. Those are much easier because it's like so much less of a song.
Oh yeah.
It's just everything is much less than it would be for the other videos. But like, for example, reaction videos take an hour to film.
Really?
Just about an hour. So like it'll be probably 20-30 minutes on the intro. So I'll script the intro and I'll do some few takes of each part that I want to do to make sure I have enough to pick from, because like some are more enthusiastic, some match the vibe that I want, some don't, whatever. And then the reaction portion, because I normally do like that first watch through, which is like my initial reaction, and then there's like a pass of me like pausing a ton and picking things apart. So that's about, I don't know, 30-40 minutes. But it's pretty easy because like it's not scripted and it's just me like nerding out, which is something I can do naturally. But the thing that takes the longest is the editing for those videos.
Editing oh my god.
Yeah. Well, because like I heard somewhere that it was like for every 7 minutes of footage that you have to edit, it's like an hour's worth of work.
Yeah.
And generally speaking, that's pretty true. At least it is for me. And like the thing about it is like I don't have to do as much as I do. I really don't. Like if you watch other people's reaction videos, very, very popular videos, very popular reactors in the K-pop like niche, they're like 8 minutes long, no editing.
It's just raw,
and it works. Like, don't get me wrong, they're super fun and enjoyable to watch. But like, I've always, and this, I know, fun fact, I did get some of these questions in advance, everyone who is watching, just to prepare myself. So this is kind of getting into like another one of the answers, but like, I've always been one to like really want to offer more.
Yeah.
in some ways than some of the other people, and like, and it has nothing to do with them being lacking in any way. It's just like it's just my own creative approach to stuff.
It's your own standard, so like, for like what you want to produce, right?
And that's the other thing. So like recently, eagle-eyed people might have realized that recently, over the past few reaction videos, that initial reaction portion has started getting a little shorter and a little shorter. Because up front, it was like I would pause a ton and I would still pick stuff out. And there was a lot of editing. And over time, I was like, I really need this to just be as clean one take through, like just a natural reaction, less editing.
Yeah.
And then people will also make note that the videos themselves have gotten a little shorter. There was one time that at one time it was like 20 to 25 minutes per video. And then they've now started being like 10 to 20 minutes on average. Because they take so long.
Yeah.
And they take a long time, because if I'm going to edit something, if I have an idea, if I want to put a graphic on screen, if I want to illustrate something, I'm not going to half butt it.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to be like, I'm going to want to take the time to like obsess over the details and stuff. But with my covers, it's very equal parts. Like there's a lot of upfront work that goes into it. So like the process is normally, and I think this is the first time I've ever like actually detailed this for anyone,
really?
aside from friends that I know that are doing similar things.
Yeah.
Shout out Rob and JT.
Shout out.
But like, so the first step is like normally listening to the song a ton. No guitar in hands, because the second I pick up my guitar,
you're gonna start playing.
I'm not. It's like I'm derailed. Like I can't think. It's much more difficult for me to think of a song in a very like analytical, objective manner with my guitar in my hands, because I just want to start trying to write stuff. So it's like listening to the song a ton until I start getting ideas, and then from there it's setting tones, which is more important than people realize, but it's also a time suck. So setting the correct tones to sit well in the mix of the song that I'm covering. And then it's writing the riffs and the solos and stuff. And then it's recording everything, the final recording. So what I'll do is like, I'll do a scratch pass of like the different parts that I want to do. Because like another thing that's really important is like hearing it in context. Yeah. I've had parts where I'm like, this is a banger rhythm part. And then the second I pair it with the lead that I want to do, I'm like, whoa, nope, it's not working. And so like, it's like doing a rough pass so that you hear everything in context and you can hear what's working, what's not. And then it's like doing a final pass of those, you know, clean, getting it right. And then it's filming, and then it's editing.
It's so much on top.
Yeah. And so it's like these multiple stages. And that has increased over time, because like if you go back and watch my early covers, it was just like me in the corner of my room, and I was recording the audio and the video at the same time, and it was much easier to edit. There weren't like cuts and effects and stuff. It was just like, here's two guitars, here's the music video, this is what it is. And then as I really went down the video production rabbit hole and got really excited about doing more, all of a sudden things got more complex and more complex and more complex. And now I'm at this point where it's like, yeah, it's 12 hours, 10 to 12 hours of work for a single song. Some are more, some are less. Some songs are much easier to write for, like Dreamcatcher stuff is like half the time they already have guitar riffs in them.
Yeah.
And so it's like a lot of times it's a combination of just like learning what I'm already hearing and then filling in those little gaps of stuff that I want to add to add my own flair to. But every video is slightly different. There's not like a formula that works for everything without fail
for
with
sure.
my videos. Even like the editing, like that's the other thing. Like I try to pull stuff from the vibe of the music video too, or like the vibe. If the song doesn't have a music video, maybe like the vibe of the song, and I try to cater the edit to that.
Yeah.
And sometimes that just ends up taking way longer than
yeah,
I wanted to.
Bet.
But
it's like this. But it's like a little touch of detail right there. Because I remember watching your Rising cover, and you just had like the red text on the screen. I'm just like, this is perfect. Like it literally fits the vibe perfectly. These cuts, these edits. You had one that was like black and white, like a point in that, and I was just like, this is incredible. That's
I appreciate that.
It's like very small touches of detail. So I can relate to that in the aspect of when I was doing my montage with Scream. It made me completely look at the song differently as well. Because like when you're trying to match gameplay to it, you're trying to match, you know, certain times where the car is hitting the ball to the beat. It makes you complete. And I'm like listening to these parts of the song over and over and over again. I'm like, I need a different clip here because the pacing doesn't match. Or I need something like a cinematic here because the song is like blossoming into this really beautiful. I love that type of stuff though, and as much as I think it does add to the time of what your production is, it's something that I personally also cannot give up. So like getting something to look a certain way, or you're cutting here, you're cutting there, all those little tiny things you do in an edit add up a long time. So something like as short as like a 20-minute video could take you days, weeks, or even a month at a time, you know?
Yeah.
I think it's crazy how much work you have to put in.
It's wild. And it's so funny because like it's everything that you decide to do is a compromise toward something or another, right? So like taking more time, you compromise the amount of speed at which you can get a video out, but the benefit is higher quality you know, or more edits or, you know, whatever. And that's the thing. Like I could just set up a camera, practice the song a ton, and then just play the song from start to finish, all of the guitar parts for the rhythm, all the guitar parts for the lead, and then edit those together. But like one thing that takes a lot of time for me is like, and this is a behind the scenes thing. I don't know how many people have even wondered this, but like the take that you're hearing isn't what I'm playing in the video.
Oh.
Yes. So I made that decision. So my early covers, it's exactly what you're seeing is what you're hearing.
Yeah.
But I figured out when I wanted to improve the quality was like, if I take the time to actually sit in front of my computer and get the best take of every single part I can, it's a better audio experience. Because like the thing with video is like your video can be really crappy, but if you've got good sound, it's much more forgiving than like you've got this movie like freaking Christopher Nolan quality production, but if you've got crappy sound, the sound effects aren't good or the music isn't good, it's very noticeable. And so that was one of the things that I chose to do early on was like, it's not as live, but the finished product is a higher quality because I have more time to like really, really get the best take of each part, to nail the vibe that I want to do. Like there are certain times in the song where you'll notice that like one of the guitars will be allowed to trail off while another part is starting, and that's something you just can't necessarily do as easily live, where it just creates a better experience. And so like that's for a while it made me feel really fake, and then I realized like no, I'm still recording all of these parts. So like so, and that's one of the things that adds to the time is like I'll set up my camera and I'm playing in real time what I wrote. I'm playing along with the final takes. So like there is an element of it being live, but like sometimes you mess up, or sometimes my fingers don't quite match what I did. And so like a lot of times, I'll do the rhythm and then I'll do the lead. And I will say that a lot of times the solos now, the close-up shots of the solos are me recording that take in real time, because it's much easier for me to do both at the same time when it's close up and like the attention is on me, versus when I'm a little bit farther away, the hand thing is a little bit more forgiving. But like it takes, when I do, like if I import the rhythm, for example, it'll like straight up be like 20 to 30 gigs of footage.
That's insane.
Yeah, because I genuinely, I care so much.
Yeah.
And I want people to know, I don't know how much this says about me and my mental health, but I want people to know that I can actually do it.
Yeah.
Whether that's hearing it or like filming it. And so like I will play the same thing over and over again. which is also why my tendonitis has been flaring up in the recent months. Until I get a take where I feel like I did the audio justice, and then I edit that together. But yeah, it's
I feel like it's like, I don't know how to describe it. It's almost like a mindset that I feel like I not only had as an athlete, but also as a pursuing professional gaming and now content creation. It's, you will literally practice and do these things to a point where it is like affecting you, right? And
yes.
Like it's just, I don't know how to describe it. Obviously, self-care, we preach self-care here, but at the same time, it's like that nonstop, I don't even know what to call it. It's like you're grinding towards like this end goal no matter what, and like nothing's gonna stop you. Like your hand might be flaring up, but you're like, I'm gonna play through it.
Yeah.
So I respect that a lot. That's crazy, man.
I will say that like it's so easy with content creation for people to just see the highlights.
Yeah.
And like that's one of the reasons why like I in the posts that I make on YouTube or on Instagram, or like I did that video on my mental health a while back. Like my goal has always been to be as genuine as possible.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to hide behind edits. Like I want it to be enjoyable, but I don't want to live this life where people look at me and like they think everything's just super easy and stuff.
Yep.
And so with that being said, like I will be the first to be honest and say like covers are mentally and emotionally draining for me. And you might be like, what is that? But like I'm so hard on myself. And I know I don't need to be. I'm aware of that. But like I get into this mindset of like it has to be perfect. Like the articulation, the way I approach, I mean, to the smallest detail. The making sure when I bend a note that it's on pitch, that it's not out of pitch. Like, and so if you were to look into some of my Logic sessions, you've got all the pieces from start to finish, all the different parts. And some of them, if you like open them and you see how many takes, we're talking like 60, 70 takes.
Wow.
Of like, but because I obsess over like, no, this chord was slightly out of tune. I got to do it again, and there will be mix certain takes together just for the sake of having to stop at some point. But like for everyone who out there who is dealing with this themselves, like just know it's more common than you might think. Definitely. And I do it. I get to the point where like I don't even like a song anymore temporarily. Yeah. Because I'm like, I have overanalyzed this. I put myself under a microscope like so much. And then it's so funny because like I'll finish a cover and I'll be like, because of my own mindset, I'll be like, that wasn't my best. Yeah. I don't like
you still think you could do better.
Yeah. And then someone in the comments will be like, this is my favorite cover you've ever done.
Like, it's insane.
And I'm like, wait. And I've literally had that happen where I've had multiple people on the same video be like, this is literally my favorite cover you've ever done out of all of them. Yeah. And I'm like, that's hilarious because
it's not even close to what I think.
Yeah. Like I felt so negative about this.
Yeah.
But it's super easy to get stuck in your own head, in the pursuit of perfection. And like, that's the other thing with the mini covers that I've been really trying to push myself on is like the mini covers, interestingly enough, are live. Ooh. So the take that you're seeing on your phone is the take that is in the audio as well. Yeah. And part of that is just to save time. And another reason is like, I don't want everything I do to be so edited, but I've been trying to push myself with those to like not care as much, like keep a level of excellence. But like here's a spoiler for everyone. I don't know when this is going to go live, but I just finished a mini cover for the song Birthday by ATEEZ, their recent Japanese comeback. I like literally finished recording it this morning, and I got the lead part first try, which is very rare.
You're like, damn, I just nailed that.
Yeah. Well, that was the thing. I finished it and I was like, I turned on my camera, I hit pause, I hit save, and I listened to it and I was like, I was like, good. I'm not, and it's funny because like if I were to scrutinize it, I put it under a microscope and like there's a really fast repeating thing in the solo, and I'm like, this is nowhere near as clean as I would want it to be.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter.
It is what it is.
Like there's a difference between like falling short of perfection and playing badly. Yeah. And I'm confident in my ability now to know that like I I'm not going to put out something where I'm physically playing badly. It's just that like, I don't know, striving to hit perfection. And that's with those mini covers. That's been the goal of like, they need to be faster. I don't need to put as much time into them. And intentionally be like, there's going to be imperfections in the parts.
Yep.
But that's okay.
You gotta be okay with it.
Yeah. So I don't know.
I know, man. I feel like all content creators are struggling with that balance, man. It's the toughest thing, I think, that makes this job like as hard as it is. And I want to believe that like most of the successful content creators out there do have that same mindset, right? Like they will just obsess over something until it's exactly what they want it to be, right? Yeah. But now that we know what all this work that goes into your videos, right? I wanted to ask you, and this is not to brag or boast or anything like that, but humbly, what do you think sets your content apart from other creators in your niche? And I just want to say as like a side note, for me, when I got into K-pop, when I got into Dreamcatcher, I did look for a lot of instrumental covers because I was curious if people did. But I will say, as much as this, like what you said before, it's probably not your favorites. Mine was your cover of Vision. Because I remember you just loading up for Dami's part, and I was like, I just remember like I stopped her there. I was like, this is about to go in. And then you started going. I was like, I just could not stop headbanging the whole time. I was like, this is like killer. And not only that, it changed a lot of how I like the feeling that those songs gave me. It made me fall in love with those songs all over again. I was like, because if this song had like just a guitar version like this, I would listen to it, right? So, I just want to hear your thoughts about that.
First and foremost, thank you. That really that means a lot. It really means a lot. Yeah, it's where do I begin? It's really this is difficult for me because like I mentioned Rob and JT earlier. Rob Ethereal and JT plays guitar. Both do K-pop guitar covers, and we're friends in real life. We have a chat that we stay up to date with one another in, and I. Like, it's hard for me to look at myself being so close with them doing similar things and being like, this is what makes me better. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because like I value their own videos and their own approaches to what they do so much. And I think they're both incredible. But I will say, with that being said, like, I think the main difference is like, I've really strived to make my content a full experience that non-musicians can also enjoy.
Yeah.
And what I say is like, it's as a musician, it's easy to make content that other musicians can enjoy because after a certain point, because like musicians are going to watch your video because you're good at guitar and nothing else. Like I've seen guitar covers, some of my favorite guitar covers. There's some legendary guitar covers on YouTube or guitar videos on YouTube that are like Hall of Famers. It's just someone like sitting on their bed. The lighting's terrible. The camera's like 420p, but it's just good. And I watch those videos because as a musician, I can respect like they went in on this and they're super technically advanced and whatever. And so I think early on, I was very acutely aware of that and being like, a lot of K-pop stans might not have the same context that I do into what I'm bringing to the table, why I think this riff really works, why it locks into the rhythm of the song. You know, like they're not gonna necessarily understand that to the same level of depth. So like, what can I do to make it enjoyable for someone who's not a musician, who doesn't have an overly musical background or even like an overly creative background? Like, how can I make this like a full experience for them as well?
Yeah.
And I think that's what's really driven me to like edit the way that I do too, is because like for me personally, like a static shot of me playing guitar for too long without something going on is boring for me to watch of myself.
Yeah.
Specifically with my videos. I'm not talking about anybody else's videos. When I'm editing, if it goes too long where I'm just sitting there by myself, I'm like, nah, there's got to be some camera movement, or like it's got to cut to the other guitar shot or whatever. And the reason for that is because like I really want to make it like more like a music video. And then the other thing is like, I really appreciate what you said about Rising with like the text elements.
Yeah.
Because like K-pop stands when an artist releases a concept, they obsess over all the parts of the concept, the colors, the outfits, the typography, the music videos, the album packaging, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so part of being a K-pop fan myself is like wanting to also bring that into the covers. So like with Rising, it's like picking a color that matches the vibe of the song, picking a font that matches the vibe of the song.
Yeah, for sure.
Using effects, transitions that match too. And like wanting to make it this full package that is clearly like a love letter to the original song and the original artist, but from my perspective. And so like, for example, a recent example would be the cover that I did for Work by ATEEZ, like finding the font that they used in their promotions or something that's like similar enough. I did it with, did I do it with Vision?
You did it with OOTD. You had like or was it OOTD? You had one with like the comic book kind of like text on the screen, which I was like, that pays homage to the original.
But I did it with Work, and I remember one of the Dreamcatcher songs that I covered. There was an X thread where someone had found. I know it was for the Vision album because they had that like really futuristic font. Yeah. It was like really cyberpunk looking, and someone found that font, and it's like a free font on the internet.
Really?
And I was like, "Yo, downloaded it." Yeah. So all the lyrics are in that font. You know what I'm saying? And so I don't know, stuff like that is really important for me. And I think that's what helps set it apart. And the other thing is like, I'm genuinely a fan.
Yeah.
And I know like that was the other thing. Like I've especially with reaction videos, like I make it a point to learn the members' names. I make it a point to like have enough context as a fan to be able to reference memes and stuff. Like I can't consume. I have a surprisingly small amount of time to consume K-pop content if I want to continue to make videos.
Yeah.
But just like keeping up to date and like having that context, because I've watched reaction videos and I'm like, my guy, you're doing this for clout. Like you can tell they don't know the members' names. They're not invested. And I'm like, I don't care if my reaction videos suck. I never want someone to be able to say that he doesn't know what he's talking about in terms of the groups. Because like that's important to me. Like being genuine. So anyways, again, I'm beginning to ramble, but I
think that's good.
Just I would say making it an experience that anyone can appreciate, and then like going the extra mile to show that like I really am a fan of the music. I'm a fan of the artists as people. Like I care about them and their well-being. So
I think I will say one last thing for this question, and that's whatever you're doing, it's working. Because when I first discovered you and I watched your cover of Because, I'm not gonna lie, Because was not one of my favorite songs in the discography. And I listened to your cover of it and I was like, this song is a banger. Like it completely changed my view, and I wasn't like into K-pop yet. So like it definitely spoke to me and expressed, I could feel the passion you put into it and the work you put into that. So
I really
it's working, man. You gotta just keep it up. Keep it up.
That actually reminds me, kind of going back to the work. It's kind of a combination of like what makes my content different, what makes it stand out, and also the work that goes into it. And that it's finding, which is surprisingly challenging, finding a balance of what to play and what not to play.
Oh.
And this is something I really like as a musician. When I can nerd out about this with other musicians for hours.
Yeah.
Because it's not a skill. You cannot learn this skill from any other way other than doing it. It's not something like in college. One of the things that they really harped on was like not overplaying. It's kind of a cardinal sin as a musician, especially if you're supporting like an artist. When you're doing something so much that it takes the spotlight away from them, like, and I'm not talking guitar solos, like there are certain songs, like you listen to Metallica, you listen to Guns N' Roses, you listen to Led Zeppelin, like all the greats. Like there are parts of the songs where it's very clear this is for the guitar player. But like in the other parts, if you do too much, it becomes more about you trying to show off than it is you playing your role in the tapestry of the band.
Yeah.
And so that's always been a hard balance for me. But I would say the reason why I've been successful at it, you know, to the point that I have is because like I spent a long time playing in different bands and getting a feel from like how to put things in vocal breaks.
Yeah.
How to fit stuff in. Where's not a good chance to fit something in. And like another thing is like watching live performances of these songs when they have live bands. So like Stray Kids did a concert that I was fortunate enough to go to where they had a live band. Freaking amazing.
I bet that went
and like
crazy.
Just hearing their like live band arrangement with just distortion guitar and like him doing solos and stuff was really eye-opening too.
Yeah.
And so it's like finding that tightrope. And this is something that I mentioned Rob and JT, they both do really, really well. And that is one of the reasons why I love their music so much is like we tend to approach the songs with this idea of like how would I play this live if I was backing them up live? What would my approach be to the guitar? And then like 5 or 10% more. Because it is a guitar cover, right? Yeah. Like I am the feature, the sole focus of the video. But at the same time, I don't want to do so much that it takes away from the original song.
Yeah.
And you know, and there are other people, there are covers out there that I've seen where they just do way too much.
Yeah.
And it's like it's just a jumbled mess
then it takes away.
Them, like, and then like some of it is like really technically impressive. And I'm like, I honestly don't care if you can shred or not, how well your technique is, and like, but if you're doing something so much that it's just steamrolling the rest of the song, I don't like that as much. Yeah. So that's another thing that I forgot to mention earlier that really takes up a lot of time early on in the writing process. It's like, you know, when do I copy the melody? When do I double that? When do I add, like there's, I think I've done it with Dreamcatcher before, but like harmonizing the melody.
Oh, you did that in Reason, I believe.
Probably. Yeah. It's like, instead of like throwing a solo or something, that's the other thing is like, there are killing parts to all these songs.
Yeah.
And there are parts that like people genuinely return to over and over again because they like them. And it's like, how can I accent? Because like I've had I've had parts where I'm like, this is sick. I love the way this turned out. And then I listen to it and I'm like, it's not hitting. It doesn't hit the same. Yeah. Because I'm not accenting the rhythm in like one of Hong Joon's rap parts or something, you know. So it's like there's a whole other world of finding that balance. And I don't really have a good answer for people on how that. I think I've had that asked in the comments before. Like, how do you write? And I'm like, I don't have enough time to unpack this with you in the comment section because it's a lot of it is experience and a lot of it is also failing and being like having instances as a musician where in a live setting I did too much and it just didn't work. So
yeah, I can only imagine because like for that Dami part in Vision, like you definitely made that part like hit harder for me, not only, but if I knew like how much work you actually had to put into thinking about that, and I don't even play guitar. Like I think playing guitar is extremely difficult, but that's because I've never played it before.
Sure.
Right. So even if I knew how to play guitar and I could appreciate, you know, all the small things that you were doing, you definitely did not ruin that part in the song for me. And I think that's extremely important for me. So
yeah. Any comment that I get that is like, you've elevated this, or I like this better than the original.
Yeah.
Those are always extremely wild for me to read because the original songs in most of these cases are masterpieces anyways.
Yeah.
But like those are the ones that mean the most because it's like, okay, I did it. I did what I was setting out to do.
Like I did it.
And at the very least, I added something to this without doing too much. So yeah.
Phenomenal. Okay. We're on to our final question. Good sire. If you could provide 3 points of insight or advice to people who want to either get into what you're doing, like learning guitar or playing guitar, what would you say?
First thing would be to latch on to moments of inspiration as immediately as possible. but have discipline in place for when they don't come.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. Like when you feel inspired, you get an idea in your head or something. Like it's such a common thing with musicians to like have an idea in public and you just like shoot it and you like hum it amateurly into a voice memo later so that you can make it into a riff. Like it's a common thing. So like follow those moments of inspiration. If you're at your, like you're sitting at home, you're playing video games or something and you think of something, you're like, man, I'd really love to try to write this on guitar or something. Like, just pause your game and go do it. Like follow those moments while you're inspired, because those are often like free bursts of creativity that you don't have to work for. But then those aren't always happening. And so create a plan of discipline for yourself to practice and to continue trying to grow when in between those like mountaintop experiences in terms of creativity. Another thing, kind of in line with that, discipline is key. And I say that as someone who royally sucks at this.
Same, dude.
Dude, I need to be practicing so much more than I am.
Yes. For sure.
And like there's you always have more room to grow. So don't fool yourself with that. For those of you listening, don't ever think that you've reached the pinnacle, because
there's people in my category say they're too old. Like anything over 20 in Rocket League is considered old. And I'm like, bro, I'm 25, dude, bro. I was like, what?
I'm 30.
Yeah.
How do you think I feel?
Yeah, I'm like, don't put an age cap, man. Do not do that to yourself.
Like, so that's stupid. Though I do feel it. There's sometimes that I'll see videos or something and I'm like, I've started getting to the point where like I'm not catching jokes anymore, and I'm like, oh my god, like what the heck is going on?
You wake up and your back hurts that much more. You're like, oh, dude, oh no,
don't, bro. I'm in a constant state of being tired and having some sort of back pain. I feel fatigue, like, but you're like, I also don't exercise as much. I should, and I need to do that. But anyways, practice, consistent. Consistent practice is key. Like discipline is key. Even if it's just 5 minutes a day. Like anytime you're working towards a goal with a guitar specifically, and let's say you're trying to get faster or you're trying to nail, a musical line or something, anytime you're working towards that, the time you take off, it's so much easier to lose that momentum than it is to keep it going. That's what I'm trying to say. So like, if you're prepping for a show or you're prepping for a video or something and there's something really advanced, take at least 5 or 10 minutes a day, every day, to work through that intentionally, rather than like practicing 6 hours at one time and then going 3 days and not doing anything. I would do that as early as you can. Like I envy people who, because like fun fact, I don't do content full time.
Oh, really?
No, I have a full-time job.
Oh my god! So this is like a side thing, huh?
Yes. Yeah.
That's nuts.
And this is a whole other thing.
What?
Like I don't know how long you want to make this interview.
Yeah.
Like I know you have to edit it.
Yeah.
But there's a whole other aspect of like the unique challenges of doing guitar covers and doing K-pop music related stuff.
You're balancing that on a full-time job.
That's but nuts, also like you don't make money. I don't make any. I mean, like I have a YouTube channel membership set up thing set up, which I feel terrible because it has been so long since I released any content for them. And I for those of you who are listening, I'm aware. I feel disgusting, and I'm working on stuff. But like, I make a little bit of money through there. I'll make a little bit of money through like AdSense.
Yeah.
But like 96% of my videos are either completely copyright claimed, or I'm sharing revenue, which is cool, but it's like 6 cents a year.
Yep.
And so like it's just the niche that I've chosen to go into, while incredibly rewarding and fun, it's not viable as a
sustainable.
Yeah. Sure. I mean, like maybe one day if I can get like some merch going and sell guitar tabs or something, but like that's the other thing, is like I'm doing this in my evenings and on my weekends, which is another reason why, especially recently, things have slowed down, because like work has gotten busier. Like I've been training new people in, and like you get done after a day of training and you're like, I don't want to do anything.
I don't have energy. I gotta just chill.
And so that's why discipline is so important, because like I envy the people that can do either try to do this full time, or they're young enough where maybe homework is the only thing and they have a lot more free time than I do.
Yeah.
Like, get into discipline practice as early as possible. And so like follow inspiration, be disciplined for the moments that you can't, be intentional, like practice intentionally too, like set goals and then work on those specifically instead of just noodling for 2 hours. And the other thing is like, set goals, but don't beat yourself up if you can't achieve them right away.
Yeah.
Set a standard, find someone that you aspire to be, you aspire to play like, but then when you inevitably see people on the internet that are better than you, don't put yourself down.
Comparison is the thief of joy.
For real, dude. And I struggle with that. Like, there are times if I don't catch myself, like I'll watch one of Kanghyun's videos, or follow so many guitar Instagram and stuff, and it's like I'll watch a video and I'm like, no, that'll never be me. And then I get like low key kind of depressed for a second.
Just sad. You're like,
whoa.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not meant to be that person. I'm not meant to like pull inspiration. Sure. Pull techniques, pull licks, pull riff ideas or whatever. But like, it's okay to not be that good. Because like music has value regardless of how skilled it is.
Oh yes.
You know? Some of the most like, dude, freaking Wonderwall. All right, as a song, freaking 4 chords basically, mega hit. Most of Taylor Swift's music is like 4 or 5 chords, mega hits. These aren't like freaking super technical like jazz standards where all the chords change every second and like there's crazy solos and stuff. But it's impactful, and like, so like don't beat yourself up if you're not hitting that standard, because 1, it will probably happen over time, but 2, like maybe you've got something else to say musically that only you can.
Only you, yeah. I think that's the most beautiful part about music as well, right? You might come up with a melody that someone has never done before or something like that. So I don't know. I think that's something that inspires me to keep going with like what I'm doing, because I feel like I'm kind of starting my own niche in a sense, but at the same time, trying to find that balance and that discipline is definitely the hardest part. Oh yeah, without a doubt in my head.
Same for me.
And I'm kind of in a spot where now I might have to not do this full time, and I might have to get a part-time job. So we're gonna see. I might be in the same boat, but you know, we're gonna try to make the most of it as much as we can. But that's nuts. I did not know you worked a full-time job on top of that. That's I have a ton more respect, my brother. I have a ton more respect.
It. Yeah, I don't talk about. I tend to not talk about that stuff. Just because not because it's anything weird, but like like it's just a completely different world. Like I've mentioned stuff on streams before, but like Monday through Friday, I'm working full time. You know, I work remote, which is a huge blessing. So like this is like literally the same setup that I use for meetings and stuff, and like I just swap out my work computer for my personal one, and then I switch gears. So like luckily I don't have to commute, but full time. And it's funny because like I think one of the reasons why I was able to gain as much traction as I did early on was because I was actually in between jobs and was looking. And so like after submitting applications, I would just work on videos for 6 hours.
Yeah, you had a lot more time.
And it was easier to put stuff out really consistently. Whereas now it's like, I was looking the other day between the Chick Chick Boom reaction video that I did and actually releasing the cover, it was like a month. And then same thing for Work by ATEEZ. I did the reaction video like right after the comeback happened. And then it was about 3 or 4 weeks before I did the cover. And so it's things are a lot slower now than I want them to be, but I can't go any faster without completely burning out.
Yeah. And that's the number one thing you want to prevent, right? You don't ever want to just get to a point where you're like, oh, like it's too much for me. Your mental struggling or your physical even struggling, right?
Yeah.
So I think balance is perfect.
Definitely.
Okay. Well, I think we've been going on for quite a while now. So fantastic. That's going to do it for us, homies. It's time to wrap up the 5th episode of Masters of the Craft. Andrew and I will have one more special treat for you guys on the way, but you'll have to keep your eyes peeled on the channel for that. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoy this content, please like, share, and subscribe. It goes a long way. Make sure you guys hit the noti bell, join the Discord to stay up to date with when I post. Definitely go check out Andrew and shout out Robin GT. We'll leave the links in the description below. Andrew, thank you so much, brother, for taking the time with me. It was an absolute pleasure. Thank you for joining us on the 5th episode. And is there anything you'd like to say before we end?
Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching this video. And to everyone who has supported me, I'm incredibly grateful. It's like you and I, we wouldn't be able to do what we do without people watching and supporting us. And so it's something I don't take for granted.
Yeah. We'd love to see it. All right, homies. Peace.
Later.